Hey, and welcome to another episode of the DVD Bunker. I'm Brian. This is Matt.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, this show is where we go through my personal DVD collection and we look back at some movies that I don't remember all that well, or that maybe I remember but nobody else does. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. So far we've been kind of prepping every show and kind of coming in with a little bit of a plan. It may not seem that way, but that's just our natural, demeanor coming through. But today I just had Matt go over to one of the racks, and he, it was the horror / suspense thriller area, and just pick out something he hadn't seen before. And actually he picked Kevin Smith's Red State.
Yeah.
So, I guess a little bit about this movie. This is not his most recent. He's had one come out since then, but this is a later Kevin Smith release, 2011.
Yep.
He kind of did this one outside the studio system. It stars John Goodman, Michael Parks from Kill Bill.
Okay.
He played 2 parts in Kill Bill, and he's in From Dusk Till Dawn, and a lot of movies. He's a great character actor. Melissa Leo. This is the same year, the year after she won the Oscar for The Fighter.
Okay.
Do you have any preconceived notions about this?
No, maybe we can mix it up and I can just look at this box and see if I can come up. I imagine that there's going to be gunfights. Red State, for some reason it makes me think Texas. I don't know if that's a real thing. That's more Lone Star State, but
right.
yeah, and on the back, John Goodman has a gun pointed at somebody. His dress, he almost looks like he's some sort of officer of the law. So I'm just going to say officer of the law goes up against obligatory weirdos, maybe a family member's involved, and and a lot of people die, and it's going to be awesome with a lot of verbose interactions.
And that's not too bad for just looking at the cover.
That's
I would
a success.
Say. That's pretty good. I mean, you're pretty close. It's like basically a standoff between government officials and a family that's kind of a mix between the Westboro Baptist Church and the militia, the Michigan militia.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because the Westboro Baptist Church, if you don't know, and good for you if you've made it this far in your life and you haven't heard of these horrible fucking people, they're terrible. They hold up protest signs at soldiers' funerals. Basically, they're just trying to get attention for themselves, and they spread their horrible, hateful message. But they're not really gun people. They're more annoying sign people.
Yeah.
This is take them, but then also add in the militia gun culture. We're a commune of crazy family. Waco, think Waco kind of thing. Okay.
I'm excited because I love religious cults, and I also love just crazy families. So I'm excited.
We're in for a good one.
And for the most part, I like to look to the brighter side of Kevin Smith's career.
Right. Well, we can go ahead and talk a little bit about Kevin Smith.
Okay.
Now, I'll get my cards right out on the table. Early Kevin Smith, Clerks sits in my top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Wow.
I saw, I was well into enjoying Mallrats and Chasing Amy. So by the time Dogma came out, I saw that in the theater, and I don't even think it came to our main theater. I think I had to see it at the cheap seats.
Oh.
I think I had to see it when we had a cheap seats.
R.I.P.
Kids today don't know. There used to be a thing called cheap seats where movies that had been out for a month would go, and you could still catch them in the theater. Now they just disappear once they're out. And the new big whatever major release comes out that needs 3 theaters comes out and just wipes the slate clean. But there used to be a place where those movies would go, or smaller releases, and you could go and check them out. And I saw Dogma, and he kind of hit. We were talking a little earlier. Kevin Smith kind of hit a little bit of a career slump for a while. He kind of got lumped in with the whole Bennifer thing, and he had, so his movie Jersey Girl suffered, which is not a bad romantic comedy if you've ever seen it. Go in with an open mind if you like that sort of movie. It's actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
It's got it's even more than a romantic comedy. It's more like a father-daughter movie.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a dramedy, I would say.
Okay.
And then he had a couple. He did Zack and Miri Make a Porno, which was here's 2 hot celebrities who are really popular right now. Kevin Smith, make a movie with them. And it wasn't he didn't kind of it didn't. I'm sure it was his idea, but it just felt Kevin Smith trying to do a Judd Apatow movie more than it felt like those characters in a Kevin Smith movie.
I agree,
You know
and
what
I
mean?
remember thinking that like this is weird for everybody here, and I remember thinking later this is a Kevin Smith movie because I would have thought it was a Judd Apatow.
Right, and you can see the formula, like you can see the Hollywood executives working out the formula. You're like, you got Kevin Smith, he does these kind of like lowbrow, but like a lot of funny dialogue, heavy comedy. That's what's getting really popular now. Judd Apatow was like killing it with a kind of that same mix. So like, let's just transplant his stars into Kevin Smith's movie, and boom, we'll have an instant hit. not so much, it turns out.
Well, I think the title hurts that movie a lot. I mean, you're not going to take a first date like, hey, let's see that porn movie.
Well, and I think they actually, when the movie was coming out, if I remember correctly, this is why I guess we should do research before this blind. But no, let's go on memory here. I'm pretty sure that they did release it as just like Zack and Miri in some ways. And I think even Walmart would only carry the DVD that you bought from Walmart was just Zack and Miri, didn't have the Make a Porno subtitle on it.
Okay.
So maybe, and I think we've seen too with movies like the whole, I don't know how familiar you are with that Tom Cruise movie Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But they kept renaming it and calling it like Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah.
And I think that can really hurt a movie when people just don't know what they're looking for. Whatever reason. It seems like a subtle thing, but it really does. I mean, I can remember being a employee at a Blockbuster and having to try to explain to someone that the Nutty Professor 2 was out in theaters, not in the store. And they were like, no, you got the Nutty Professor. And I was like, no, see, there's two different movies. So I think naming controversies are a little more valid than people think. That's a real thing that can happen. There's parts of the public that are easily confused.
I think you're right. And I remember Live, Die, Repeat. I just remember thinking it had two titles, and that was just pick whichever one you want.
I think Live, Die, Repeat is a terrible title. I think Edge of Tomorrow isn't great, but it's much better than Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah, they should have called it Video Game the Movie because
right. Or I think the book it's based on is called like All You Need Is Kill. That's a great name. What's wrong with
really
that? That's a cool name right there.
Yeah, good times.
So yeah, Kevin Smith got into his little kind of slump there with that, Zack and Miri Make a Porno and Cop Out, and then he started getting into the speaking tour thing, and he got really popular from that. And then this was his kind of return, and he decided he was going to do more independent, and he kind of he got like private money and produced this outside the studio system, and like endorsed it and released it all on his own. And I really like it. I really think Red State's good. I think you're really going to enjoy it too.
Now, is this his first foray into the horror genre?
This is his first real like outside of comedy. I mean, I guess
is it more of a thriller than a horror? Really, I guess.
Yeah, I would say it's more of like a thriller. It's more like an action thriller.
Okay.
It's definitely got some like. It's hard to call them horror elements, like uncomfortable parts that are just, that are horrific, not necessarily because of gore, but more because of like subtext, and, like what's in the film. This is definitely his first, most kind of serious, and actually, as far as I'm concerned, the only thing he's done in this genre, because even like, his follow-up to this, which is Tusk, and he's got another movie out right now, Yoga Hosers, are more like horror comedies.
Okay.
And this, I mean, I feel like there's probably there's funny lines in this, in the way that almost any movie, like in the way Seven has moments of levity in it. You know what I mean? Like there's funny lines. There's people who say things that will make you laugh. But I think this is the farthest from a comedy he's ever done.
Okay, now let me ask you. Well, maybe I'll wait till after we watch this, and I want you to think about this while we're watching the film. Have we seen his greatest movie yet? And I want you, maybe don't answer yet, but I want you to think about that. And I think he's not an old guy, and he's been around for 20 years. I mean, he might still have some in the tank.
This movie got me excited about Kevin Smith again. Whereas, I mean, I didn't hate his other movies. I mean, I think Cop Out is a serviceable buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
There's nothing really like special about it. Zack and Miri Make a Porno is funny. I actually think Clerks 2 is pretty solid as far as a comedy goes, and as far as a follow-up to Clerks. And the stuff from his earlier career, is good, is solid. And but I got really excited when I watched this movie, thinking that he's gonna progress. I was like, he's broken through. He's gonna get, and I wish I could say I was as excited about Tusk. Let me put it this way: Tusk didn't make it down to the DVD market. It's one of the few Kevin Smith movies.
It was banging on the door outside.
I wanted it. I wanted to like it. I wanted to like it. I did, you know, but it's like, hey, you know, it is what it is. We're not here to rip on Tusk.
No.
We're here to talk about Red State. I think it's going to be good. Yeah, I think that's it. We talked about everything. I think we're ready to get going.
All right, let's go watch Red State.
Sweet. All right, so we're back from our watch of Red State. And off camera here, full disclosure, we were just having a long conversation about spoiler etiquette, and because there's a lot of, I think one of this movie's shining features is that it's got a lot of little twists and surprises and little unexpected moments.
Water kills the aliens in this movie.
Oh, shit. Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. Oh, burn sauce. And then we realized that anybody watching this show in this deep, dark corner of the movie-loving internet has probably either seen Red State or could just pause this video and put it on their watch later list and come back after they watch it.
This will be here for decades and generations. Yeah. We'll have all the time in the world to watch this, but yeah, go watch some Red State. Yeah.
So we're just going to talk openly about Red State.
Yeah.
And, so there you go. That was your spoiler warning. There's going to be spoilers. So, we'll just... Starts off with three kids basically looking for a Craigslist hookup, right?
Yeah. It's like Adult Friend Finder.
It's kind of. It kind of reminds you a little of Porky's, right? With like a group of guys who are gonna go off and meet a lady in the woods for a bang. Like it's a little Porky's in there.
Yeah, it's like 2010 Porky's.
Yeah. So they're gonna go off and meet, and big shocker, that does not go super well.
No, she is but not a nice lady.
Yeah, they instantly like drink open beers. Somebody just hands them open beers and they drink them, and they're drugged and they just pass out and they're instantly kidnapped, and then we're introduced to our like main cult family, right?
Yeah, and those people are really weird. This is a nice lesson for children though, because you don't drink unopened anything that some stranger gives you.
So he tries to hand you an open container. That's a no-no.
Never do that. You got to watch them open it up. But yeah, then these people, it turns out, they're psycho.
Right, they're established. I mean, I guess we just skipped over. They are established in the movie. Like, they're part of the. They just live close to the town, and they're doing the same thing like we talked about in the intro. Westboro Baptist Church type, protesting gay people funerals and soldier funerals, and just saying holding up signs that say horrible things.
Yeah, they're horrible.
Yeah. So turns out this lady they thought they were meeting for sex is like. She's like the daughter of the big reverend. They wake up in basically in just like in trapped saw style in some cages.
Yeah,
and like under floorboards and everything.
They are like dog cages though, and it looks like he could just
pretty weak. He
arm.
looks like he could kind of just like push through it, Like a big dog can usually break those open pretty good.
Yeah, so these kids are wily because 2/3 of them are out in the open.
Right. Well, the one kid's in the cage. You find out the other two are below the floorboards.
Yeah.
So, they see these. Not only there's a lot of talking, but then they actually witness these people doing some pretty horrific.
They straight grab him and then like a lightning bolt from God.
Yeah, I noticed.
Blast down onto the top of his head.
I noted that like the acts they do are quite horrible but creative. I was like, that's something I'd never seen in a movie before.
And it was
they seal up the body with saran wrap, shoot him, but then so there's almost no mess. They instantly seal over the hole, and then they I'm sure they dispose of the body in some quick manner. But I was like, anytime I see something in a movie like that, it's always cool to see something I've never seen before.
Yeah, because
somebody came up with something new for this one, and
it looks so good too. And because I'm even looking at it like, did they really kill him, or was that a fake? And then I see all the blood, but it's like inside that saran wrap, and you're like, oh man, they did just waste that dude, and then kick him down where those two boys
drop him where the other two are under the floor. So, but yeah, they're good, I guess you'd call them horror movie kids. They're working to get out, and you've got your cliches. You got the one kid who's like actually trying to save his buddy, and the one kid who's totally panicking.
Yeah.
And just and that's Billy Ray, and I wrote here in my notes, this is a very in-depth note, Billy Ray sucks. That's what I wrote down here. I took the time to make sure I didn't forget to say how Billy Ray sucks.
Billy Ray was going... He left his friend behind to go straight to the armory because he was grabbing weapons and armor to then come back and free.
His friend gets him free, and then he's like, oh, it's too tight, I gotta go. And he like bails on his friend, and then he stumbles into the armory and gets shot, and then only on reflex falls back, and the machine gun goes off as he's dying, and he accidentally kills the guy who shot him. So like, Billy Ray totally sucks.
What if I told you they cut a scene where he's running down the hallway and he sees a big map on the wall and he looks at it for a second and he sees armory and he like taps on it and then he runs.
One's way exit, one way armory, and he's like, he has the chance to bail and get out of there. And he's like, no, I'm going back with my friend. Billy Ray sitting in the premiere like, they made my character a total asshole.
Yeah, they shot the whole sequence where he saves him.
I was the hero of this movie.
Where he actually kills that guy first.
Just Kevin Smith who just thinks it's hilarious to fuck with these actors. He films these whole like scenes. Every actor thought they were in a different movie. Like, turns out he's like some secret genius. He films these ridiculous offshoots.
Like, a couple of the children didn't even know they were shooting a movie. They just thought there was really.
What you don't see is like when they shuffle the kids off to the attic to hide, there's actually a whole setup there where they're filming an episode of Barney. Those kids, that's what they thought they were on that day.
Their family's in some waiting room somewhere, doesn't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
So I guess we don't really need to go into it. It's the people are gonna, hopefully people have watched or will watch this movie, but the cops end up showing up outside not because of the kids that are kidnapped or anything. It's like a totally secondary reason, just kind of out of nowhere. The cops show up, and they of course they show up at the perfect time, where it's one of those great things where the cop there's that tense situation where the bad guy's talking to the police officer, and just as the cop's about to leave, and you think the bad guy's like talked his way out of it, and some gunfire go off, and then they're like, of course they shoot the cop, and then you find out that these, the bad guy, I don't want to call them the crazy family, let's just call them the crazy family. They've got some blackmail over the local sheriff.
Pictures of him and his activities that break. It's ruining his life, too.
Right.
You got his wife's picture.
He's basically a self-loathing homosexual, like, out there having relationships and then coming home and looking at pictures of his wife and crying.
You can't blame him. In this town, if you even say you want to be with a woman in the wrong way, you're dead. So he's really... What are you going to do in this town?
So they have some compromising pictures of him or whatever, and they're blackmailing him. So he decides he's going to call in the ATF.
Yeah.
And report him. He's like, I can't do anything myself. And I give it to him for that because he kind of looks like for a second he might just might buckle and let him get away with it.
Yeah.
But he does do something, which he calls in the ATF.
Yeah.
And that's where we get the real hero of the movie. John Goodman enters. America's favorite TV dad, Dan Connor.
Arguably, though, at first I thought he was a hero, but then he was also kind of a villain.
He's portrayed in a very, like, he's a government man doing the government work. Like, he's following his orders, and he's like, he doesn't always agree with them, but he's kind of stuck in this place where he's low man on the totem pole, and he's like the head of the people who have to deal with the situation, but he's got people over him passing down stuff that, the one guy argues with John Goodman, but then once he agrees, he just full on turns.
Yeah,
he's
like,
all right. It's like, fine. He's like, but it's on you, you're wrong, but he still goes through with it and kills everybody and puts bullets in everyone.
So then the firefight goes on, good guys die, bad guys die.
Yep. And then you hear these horns going off. Big blasting, like a Christopher Nolan trailer, like Inception.
It's like the soundtrack to one of those movies, but everyone can hear it.
Everyone can hear it, and all the ATF guys are, what's happening? And of course, the Reverend and all his followers come out. They throw down their weapons. They come out, and he gives another 10-minute speech about this is the rapture and this, that, and the other. And there is a moment here where I remember watching the first time, and I don't know, you can tell me because this is your first time, where I really wondered, like, is Kevin Smith gonna go full dogma on this one?
I was really hoping it was gonna be that way, that where you just see some sort of.
No, okay. I'm gonna give you two options. Would you have rather seen like a real spectacle of like the clouds open up and a real biblical, CGI heavy four horsemen come through the clouds, or would you rather see Matt Damon and Ben Affleck looking like from Dogma with the wings and the breastplates, and they fly in, and Alanis Morissette comes behind them?
You go a complete 180. It's a comedy.
They just parody on himself and just is like, "So I got you. This is actually the sequel to Dogma."
That would be so. If you just 180.
Good, right?
You just 180 the whole movie, and the
Jay
rest
and
is just a
Silent Bob
comedy.
are like righteous warriors. They come in. They're the other two horsemen.
Wow, that would have been amazing.
So, yeah, I think you could have gone, but I did have a moment where I wondered, is he going to actually, like, lean into the rapture is real? Like, is that going to be the thing? Is he going to do that? Is that how he's going to end this movie? And it was like, I don't know if I would have, like, I guess it would have depended how he did it. It would have been interesting, for sure.
I think if you could have had maybe just the people, I would even, like, settle, because this is kind of a low-budget film, for them just to fall down and die like all the righteous people.
Yeah.
And then you could almost end the movie right there, but it would be like an hour and 10 minutes long.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
it'd be pretty short. We have it. Oh, the horns go off. They come out. They drop their guns. Cut to John Goodman explaining the whole. You find out, he's basically been explaining the whole situation to his superiors.
Yeah.
And it turns out the horns were just some college kids who have their property butts up against a crazy family, and
practical joke,
right? And they
jackass team.
Exactly. Instead of calling the cops on them or complaining about them, they decided to fuck with them by playing some horns.
Yeah,
and it was just a coincidence.
It was good effect because they must have been loud. They said it was the size of a Mini Cooper.
Yeah, something about like it was like from an old
back.
fire station, so it was some kind of big, powerful horn.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I think that. Some people might be like, oh, that's kind of a cop-out. I think it was just a coincidence. But I think as far as, like, budgetary constraints obviously were a thing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Just a creative and interesting kind of way, and a very Kevin Smith kind of, way to write around it. And they have a really good, I think, that whole scene then with him and his bosses, I think is some really good, like, behind the scenes kind of FBI style banter.
Yeah, where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna kill him," and then, but it does kind of wrap up really nice where they're just like, "Oh, because these people were so horrible and you didn't murder everybody in the house, it actually did turn out to be a reputable bust, and we were able to pin all those innocent people that we killed's death on the bad guys.
Right.
So everybody wins. You get promoted."
It's one of those things where like everything's a shitstorm all through the movie, and then it all just kind of falls into place
immediately. And then there's not really a showdown between him and the guy. They just kind of he headbutts him, but they don't even show it.
Show that. I really feel like that's a big time missed opportunity because they should have. The way it should have been, Michael Parks is giving his big speech. He gets right in John Goodman's face, and that's when they cut to the board or to the office, and he's telling his bosses, and they're like, "What happened?" And he's kind of thinking thoughtfully, and then he looks back. He's like, "Oh, I headbutted him." And after he says I headbutted him, they should have cut back and shown him hitting the head and just nailing him. John Goodman's giant melon just crushing Michael Parks' old face, but they don't. They never go back, and I feel like that might be the biggest in a movie that's got some really good little surprises and little bits. That's something that I expected that I didn't get. That I was upset. Like I like everything else that's unexpected in this movie pays off pretty well. It's like a good unexpected surprise. That is a disappointment. Yeah, that's my one critique.
I'm 100% with you because he also makes like a little smirk after he says it, and you could have played him headbutt and then shown that smirk and then shown the headbutt again.
I would have shown the headbutt, the smirk, and then the headbutt one more time.
Just keep showing that headbutt for like 10 seconds. Just
a bunch of all these different angles of headbutts.
Matrix, like where it's like circling around.
Michael Parks falling down in slow motion after he gets hit, hitting his head on the concrete again. Like as he falls, his head bounces off the concrete.
And he just shoots.
You see slow motion high fives with John Goodman, with the other ATF guys, and the other ATF guys just open fire on the unarmed family.
This is where you find out they're all dead. And then he's like, then we finished our mission. That's when you find out they just killed everybody.
That got dark.
So-
Anything, I mean, we talked a little bit about just like him not leaving us characters to really love or anything. Anything like just little things that jumped out that you didn't like?
Yeah, mostly just that cut and back, that back and forth on the cut killed me. But so much of it is so, and it's one of those movies. The more I think about it, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, that was so cool. Even though we're laughing about that guy killing those innocent
It was
people,
an amazing moment to have.
Yeah.
You know, they're walking up and you think like you got, you know, the girl who's been trying to save the kids, and you got one of the hostage kids from the original three left, and they're coming up and they're pleading with John Goodman, and he's kind of about to have a conversation with him, you think, and then one of the ATF guys just comes up and boom, boom, he's like, "You okay, sir?" And he's just like, "That's it. You gave the order. Everybody dies. Everybody dies." And it was one of those moments. And like I said, I think that's one of the things I really like about this movie is there are genuine moments of like shock, and I don't feel like he uses them cheaply, even though there's several of them. I feel like he uses them all to good effect. None of them are like cop outs. I really like because it's the structure of this movie.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's the movie he's making. You know,
and it's perfect, and it's a nice moment. They're in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah.
They're negotiating the release of hostages, and he runs up and just shoots them both. He's like, "Okay, how many people do you think are inside?" "Excuse me, sir." Poof, poof. Dead.
Yeah.
I liked it though. I thought it was good.
So the last thing that I did have one dislike, and this is going to go back to my original notes, my original in-depth notes of Billy Ray sucks. Billy Ray's rat tail.
Oh yeah, the guy at the beginning.
It's just, I just hate them. I just
like
hate
it.
rat tails.
Oh,
That is like the worst hairstyle. How did that ever become a thing?
It's beautiful.
No, it's not.
Because it's warm out, but you want the look of long hair.
A mullet,
So
a mullet is better than a rat tail.
No, but you see, it's mullet. You got to really come down on it, and a rat tail is just a mullet for a much hotter day. You're just kind of taking your mullet.
That is the worst. And this one wasn't even in a cool.
One.
He didn't even braid his rat tail properly. It was just like a loose. No, it didn't have a twisty in it. Nothing.
Yeah, it was just kind of shaved that way.
Gross.
He was pretty polite. He seemed like a nice kid, though.
From the minute I saw that rat tail, I was like, well, whatever happens to him, he's got coming. Because that rat tail is disgusting.
He was the nicest.
He's clearly a garbage person because of that rat tail.
They had to talk him into it. He's down in liquor in the back seat. I don't think that kid drinks a lot. I think he's just trying to get drunk. But
then when they get in the accident, they run into Stephen Root's car. He's the one who's like, well, your car ain't going to be any less run into it. Let's go fuck. Like, no, he's a garbage person, man. You're not going to sell me. He's a garbage person. So I guess we can't do a traditional goodbye versus goodbye because I already knew I liked this and you had never seen it and you're a guest here. I'm not going to let you decide what happens in my movies. But let me ask you, what do you think you would pay for this? Now you're not a big physical media guy.
Yeah.
But say to buy online, so you buy it digitally and you own it forever.
I bet you I would pay $10 to buy this. Before I had seen it, it would pique my interest. I would have bought it. For $10, I would have watched it and I would have said, that was great. I'm glad I bought that instead of just renting it. Mm-hmm. And I would be happy. I would probably have it on my phone. And when I was on my phone, sometimes I would see and be like, oh, yeah, I'll watch you again. Sometimes I might be in a spot where I need a movie.
See, I don't do that anymore. I don't buy things that I haven't seen.
So that you got burned too many times on that.
So
these aren't even the final. There's some movies that didn't make the final cut to the bunker. They didn't even make it.
Yeah,
down.
there've been things. Yeah, I've culled the old collection a few times in my day, and it was culled by outside sources as well at one point.
That time you came home and your wife was just burning them on the yard in effigy.
For warmth.
Yeah. It was June, I think, when
it was very warm. But yeah, there's definitely I've been burned before, things I thought I was gonna like and bought them and watched them and was disappointed and hadn't really gone back. And that's part of why I'm doing this show now. Just kind of hit up some of those movies. We haven't gotten anything like that quite yet because I'm too enamored with just talking about movies I already like.
Yeah.
It turns out this is just a catharsis. I'm just going to look at I just want to watch movies.
Just constantly reassure yourself. Don't worry, episode 850, we'll finally hit some of those.
Finally get to a movie that I don't really remember
movies that Brian
well.
not so hot about.
Yeah. After we've done our 3rd episode on aliens.
where we don't really even talk about it, we just reenact the movie as our favorite characters. Just, we all pick a...
It's going to be a stand-up fight or another bug hunt. Yeah.
That's exactly what I will. Well, I put a pay $10. What do you think? Here, I'll let you know. You guess, and I'll let you know what you
Well, I can tell you,
pay
first
for
of all, that this is recent enough that I bought it in the new way I usually buy new releases, which is I pick them up previously viewed from Family Video.
Oh, very...
Yeah.
Yes, folks, here in Ohio, we actually still do have video stores.
That's right. Everybody thought Blockbuster here died and took out the video store, but no.
Not here in the heartland.
Still have them.
We still love renting our movies, and also, yeah. And this, you beat me out with a physical copy, $5.95. I would have paid $10.
You would have paid $10 digitally.
Happily.
And
take it.
I had seen it already, so I already knew I was getting something good. So not only did I pay $5.95, but no guesswork.
Yeah,
I knew
so
what was
you
up.
double came out of it. Make sure you're getting a value.
Thanks for not busting me out on what else is on that receipt, man.
Oh, yeah. No, there were some video games on there, which I thought was cool. So that might have been the movie Resident Evil.
Don't worry about
$3.95. Don't worry. Not a huge... that was probably a value buy. You're like,
don't worry.
It's not going to be
It's probably something where I got a deal. You know, I had to buy 3 to get the deal.
Oh, yeah, that is a good move they have.
Sometimes, sometimes you gotta...
They're pretty generous about it.
Yeah, well, it's a great place to buy new release Blu-rays, previously viewed.
Yeah,
$10.
they constantly are recycling their movies out to the public, so you.
So that's how I pretty much buy my physical media these days. So I knew I got a pretty good deal on it.
Yeah.
And like I said, money well spent as far as
so I think this is a good buy all around because for $6.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Give it to me twice. I'll gift it to a friend. You know what I mean?
Oh, I've done that. I've come across movies that I really love that I already own at say Ollie's or Big Lots, and I'll buy it for someone else if it's so good and it's like $2. I'll just buy it and give it to somebody. I'll be like, dude, you should just own this. I know you don't have a lot of movies, but this is too I wish I could have bought all the copies and given them out because this movie's so good. It doesn't deserve to be being sold for $2. I'd rather pay that and just give them to people. This is a better movie. It deserves more than its $2 price tag.
That's why I was giving me Blade 3 movies. Hey man, hint some more of these out.
Hey, you got any friends that don't want to play Trinity?
Give one of these to your mom, man. I think she'd like a good action movie.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds, hot off of Deadpool, man. Maybe you'd like to check him out and play Trinity.
That's how I was able to hide down here so long. Just crates and crates of Blade 3.
I thought Triple H was going to break out off of that one, I was all in, man. I was all in on that.
I sure was hoping he would break out. He's one of the ones I wish would have broke out because I always liked him a lot.
I like, but he got a good gig now, so he's
just fine. He's doing himself.
He did all right for himself. So, is that it? Anything else?
Yeah, no. If we missed anything, if you love this movie as much as us and we missed something crazy,
or if you're a Kevin Smith fan and you want to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about,
and Tusk is the greatest movie ever.
I've never seen it, his finest film, and maybe I'm an ass.
I love Justin
Long,
so
I like Justin Long. I like Michael Parks.
The
premise interested me. I'm not. This isn't the Tusk episode. There's not going to be a Tusk episode because I didn't buy Tusk because I didn't like Tusk. So hey, it is what it is. But thanks for joining us here on the DVD Bunker. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Unofficial Fan Fights channel here on YouTube. A lot of great content.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always
great. Every week.
As of this recording, I'm still the fan friction champion, although there's blood in the water, man. It's getting rough out there.
We recorded all of these on May 23rd, 2016.
Oh, geez, the day after
Brian's really looking forward to that Hector is Funny fight. I know you're going to crush it.
That'll be a good time. I certainly won't get embarrassed in that one.
I mean, at least you won't get shut out or anything like that.
No, that couldn't happen to the champ, right? Shoot.
Not to this champion.
No goose eggs for this guy. I'm a winner, man. I don't know if you noticed.
I'm way too tickled by that.
I don't know if you noticed by where we are, but I'm a winner. I've done it.
I've
achieved it.
Oh my goodness, it's true.
So follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
At Hercules.
And at the Drunksman.
Hashtag DVD Bunker if you want to talk about this or any of our other episodes. Thanks again to Ron and Google iPlaid Pie for the great
good
music
times.
we keep using.
Thank you so much, Ron.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Have a good one.
Bye.